Joining me now from Southern California, attorney and congressional candidate for California District 28, which, by the way, is the seat currently held by a gentleman by the name of Adam Schiff, Eric Early. Eric, we're going to talk about Adam Schiff in just a moment, but first, this ruling from a constitutional perspective, I hear a lot of people say executive privilege. To me, it's a little bit of a higher order than that. It's the entire notion of separation of powers that's been built in, the checks and balances, as some like to say, the curtains that exist between the Article 1 branch, the Article 2 branch, and the Article 3 branches of government. This notion of separation of powers. If you have the Article 3 branch on behalf of the Article 1 branch compelling the Article 2 branch to do something, this obliterates, in my opinion, obliterates the entire notion of separation of powers.
Well, thanks for having me, Graham. That's what's going on here. You know, as everybody knows, we're in this incredibly hyper-political environment, and that's leading to violations of the Constitution or attempts to violate the Constitution in many areas. And this partisan judge who was appointed by Barack Obama, as Kellyanne Conway said, not surprisingly, is ordering basically Don McGahn to testify before Congress. And I believe that ruling is wrong. And as Kellyanne said, it's going to go up on appeal. And you have to protect the executive branch's ability to protect privileged information. In this case, information that falls within the executive privilege from going out to Congress, especially in an environment where Congress really could care less about the merits. They just want to figure out a way to destroy a president. So I'm glad it's going up on appeal, and I hope and I believe that the next level of the court system will say that the president can assert this privilege and prevent McGahn from testifying.
And defend the entire notion of separation of powers, which is crucial as the foundation, the constitutional foundation of this republic. I want you to put your lawyer cap on, if you will. This judge, this Ketanji Brown Jackson, appointed by Barack Obama, went to Harvard, not so coincidentally. And also, by the way, if you remember her name, and it sounds familiar, it's because she blocked earlier this year a Trump immigration deportation policy. But I want to kind of split hairs here, because if you look at the ruling from the way I read it, she's compelling McGahn to appear, but not necessarily compelling him to testify. And I know there is just a kind of a subtle difference there, but in the end, in terms of a legal matter and I guess a constitutional and impeachment matter, there's a huge difference there, right? I mean, you can be compelled to appear and then, you know, take the Fifth Amendment or claim executive privilege.
Yeah, among other things, she's saying McGahn has to show up in front of Congress, and every time he doesn't want to answer a question, assert the executive privilege or whatever privilege Mr. McGahn wants to take. And no, that is not required by the law in cases when the executive, in this case the president, asserts the executive privilege and says, sorry, Mr. McGahn is not showing up. He does not have to testify. So, that's something that's going to have to be ruled on. But the president is well within his rights to do it. And one thing I'd say is, look back in the day when Eric Holder refused to testify before Congress. Yep. These congressional subpoenas don't have the teeth that court subpoenas have, and what we're dealing with here right now is a congressional subpoena. So, we have to protect executive privilege. There's got to be a solid basis behind asserting the privilege, of course. But here we have the president and the chief White House counsel. They should be able to speak, and their conversations should be able to be the subject of executive privilege.
And it's a congressional subpoena that should be respected and honored if it doesn't violate the law, if it doesn't violate the United States Constitution. And oh, by the way, as an attorney, I'm sure you would agree with me, cold day in hell that you would ever have the President of the United States appear before Adam Schiff, which leads me to the guy that you are opposing in Los Angeles, you're trying to beat in your congressional race. And I rarely say this to my audience, and I want to say this now. Take a good look at this man's face. His name is Eric Early. EricEarly.com is his website. We'll talk about it again in a second here, I think. But the bottom line is, folks, from coast to coast, if you want to retire Adam Schiff, you will support this man. And again,
Right.
I rarely have people come on my program and give an open endorsement like that. But if you want to put your money where your mouth is, now is the time. Because I firmly believe that in the end, Adam Schiff will go down in history as worse than Joseph McCarthy. At least Joseph McCarthy had some evidence, and we now know that there certainly were communists infiltrated in the federal government. There are some now, Bernie Sanders, for example. But the bottom line is this guy should, I think, will go down in history as a huge blight, not just with impeachment, just in general, the way he has governed and the way he has represented that portion of Los Angeles. He'll go down as a huge blight, an anti-constitutional blight in the history of this republic.
Graham, you said it better than I could ever say it, and I really appreciate your support and your viewers' support. But this guy Schiff, if anybody is doing Vladimir Putin's dirty work in our country to undermine our elections and to get people questioning, get American citizens questioning whether somebody's been properly elected and on, it's Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is doing Putin's bidding. That's what Putin has always wanted to do, is to undermine our elections and get people thinking in our country that there was something wrong with election or elected official. And besides that, the mullahs are clapping on Adam Schiff over there in Iran, that brutal regime of mullahs who are now repressing and killing their own people, who are trying to rise up again. You know, Donald Trump has been squeezing out that mullah regime, squeezing them into oblivion.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.